This is a woman who is 38 weeks pregnant and her LMC. She has not felt her baby move since yesterday. She has been referred to the tertiary unit for further assessment. She has just learnt her baby has died. Stillbirth has been described as one of life's most traumatic events. The woman, her family, and the midwife are expecting a healthy, live baby, a baby that has been in their dreams. Everyone is suddenly in a place which is unexpected and unwanted. Midwife's professional partnership with a childbearing woman ideally is a relationship characterized by mutual respect, shared decision-making, and shared responsibility, in which continuity of maternity care is assured. Many of these principles are challenged during an unexpected stillbirth. When a stillbirth occurs, the understanding of birth as a normal life event is distorted for both the woman and the midwife. The continuity of care model, unique to New Zealand, enhances midwifery partnership as women are given the opportunity to build trusting relationships with the midwife. Jones and Smith highlight the significance of this model in the midst of stillbirth, as parents often turn to their midwife for support following the death of their baby. One mother beautifully wrote, "Continuity of maternity care gave me the arms to break and heal in, and for that I will forever be grateful." The midwifery partnership is woman-centered. This wisdom remains applicable in the tragic context of stillbirth. However, when a stillbirth occurs, possible feelings of distrust in the midwife may emerge if there is a perception that the midwife has not lived up to the shared expectation. It is important to acknowledge the tension which exists when a midwife continues to provide care for whānau while coping with her own intense feelings. In all partnerships, culturally appropriate care should be provided. This practice requires the midwife to understand each woman's cultural needs and to have appropriate communication skills so that woman can identify what is important for her in relation to her midwifery care. Miriama Kopu Wharahoka said, "The holistic practices and beliefs of Māori are universal and do not belong to just one people, but to all." Birth is the instrument in which whakapapa is created. When a stillbirth occurs, the whakapapa for that child is severed. The loss impacts parents, whānau, hapu, and iwi. Manaakitanga is upheld by the midwife when she considers the environment, shows kindness, and makes whānau feel welcome. The events around death and grieving is among the most sacred. This time is tapu, and practices of karakia or waiata should be respected. Being supportive and providing care for the wahine demonstrates whanangatanga. Mana is upheld when the beliefs, values, and decisions of women are supported. The physical, spiritual, emotional, and mental well-being of the wahine and her whānau will be disrupted in the wake of a stillbirth. There are external support services available to support the well-being and strengthen hauora. Effective communication is a foundational skill required by the midwife in the immediate period following diagnosis of fetal demise. This fosters the partnership. It is okay to acknowledge the tragedy of the situation and be empathetic. Midwives should avoid using metaphors or unhelpful language such as "at least you have another child" or "you are so brave." Bravery is not appropriate in this context as this was never their choice. The midwife should be in no rush, assume no prior knowledge from the family, slow down, take time, and walk at their pace. Assure parents that it is okay to change their mind at any time. It is important that midwives are aware that bereaved parents have commonly reported, no matter how hard they have tried, they could not seem to absorb the information which was being shared with them. Once fetal demise has been diagnosed, a vaginal birth is the recommended route of birth as it has less risks associated with it. Parents may be offered an induction of labour, or they may choose to wait for spontaneous labour to commence, which would normally start within 14 days of diagnosis. A caesarean is a surgical procedure with high risks attached. Once demise is confirmed, caesareans provide no fetal benefit and pose many potential maternal risks. Occasionally, caesareans are indicated for maternal benefit in such cases of preeclampsia, transverse lie, placental abruption with massive bleeding, or placenta previa. Boyle et al. 2017 study found 15% of caesarean sections performed with confirmed fetal demise had no clinical indication, and as a midwife working within the partnership model with woman-centered motives, the statistic is not okay. Once a stillbirth has been confirmed, parents are often requesting a caesarean. However, this request is not in line with best practice recommendations, and this may create a tension between parents and health professionals. Parents are not expecting a vaginal birth, and therefore they need to be fully informed and supported with analgesia options discussed. Studies have found that vaginal birth is experienced as an empowering event for women following the birth of their stillborn child. Holding and seeing the baby. All parents should be given the choice and enabled to change their mind should they wish. The research identifies many benefits to mothers who have had physical contact with their baby. In some instances, it brings closure to the family. There is only one chance, and some mothers regretted the decision not to see their baby. However, there is some suggestion that this may impact the attachment with the next born child, increasing symptoms of anxiety and depression. Interestingly, Hennigan, Henderson and Redshaw's research found no clear evidence for or against, and suggests that no recommendation should be made, but rather enable the parents to make the decision for themselves. A bereaved mother wrote that memory making is the curse and balm of the grieving soul. Just because creating them hurts like hell does not mean that they should not be created, for later on they become the balm that makes us whole again. Memory making may include hand and footprints, photographs, prayer, singing and cultural practices, bathing and dressing the baby, meeting extended family. Post-mortem examination is the gold standard investigation and is reported to change the diagnosis in 1/3 of cases. The decision to have a post-mortem is a parental choice and should be offered as an option, with accurate information about the examination. It is performed to identify the cause of death, bring peace of mind, relieve personal distress, guilt, and prevent future stillbirths. The reasons for declining include that parents did not want their baby to be cut, they felt they knew the cause of death, they lacked trust in the results, and they were reluctant to be separated from the body. However, retrospective regret about declining post-mortem is well documented, and no woman who chose a post-mortem said that they regretted this decision in Cronin's study. For Māori, practices such as post-mortem can disrupt the wairua or soul of the deceased, causing it to become lost. This Māori cultural preference to decline post-mortem may influence how health professionals seek consent from Māori parents. It is important that midwives do not assume that this examination will be declined by certain groups. The midwife is in a position to provide information about support services available. SANS is a parent-run nationwide group supporting families who have experienced a stillbirth. SANS also provides support packs which can be given to families while in hospital. The natural process of producing milk will still occur. Fresh cold cabbage leaves inside a firm bra or binder is the most common way to suppress lactation. The baby can be transported in a car seat, but parents are required to have a transfer charge of body form in the car with them at all times. Registering the birth and death must be done within 3 working days of burial or cremation. Funeral planning can be done with a kaumatua or funeral director. Recommendations are not acceptable to all populations. One may argue that recommendations are made from a Western, high-income, monocultural worldview. This may not be appropriate when translated into another context. Such practices are embedded within a Western scientific approach. These values are often at odds with other worldviews, for example, the post-mortem and Māori cultural norms. Midwives engage in bicultural partnerships and must work collaboratively with whānau. This may mean that despite recommended care being declined, the partnership continues and values are honoured. The psychological impact of stillbirth on bereaved parents is extensive. Common feelings include guilt, blame, regret, fear, grief, deep sorrow, depression, anxiety, anger, pressure to make decisions in a time where parents feel psychologically incapacitated, and an overwhelming sense of loss. Persistent feelings of remorse and guilt for not being able to save their baby is apparent within the literature. It is clear that the psychological impact of stillbirth is complex and diverse. One mother said that there is no right way to grieve, as long as you don't hurt yourself or anyone else. Environmental factors are strongly linked to psychological well-being. The midwife may consider factors such as maintaining privacy for the family and advocating for a single room away from newborn crying babies, removing posters about newborn care from the walls of the room, gauging the appropriate timing of sharing results, advocating to provide continuity of care, and allowing enough time for appointments. Social stigma is well documented within the literature as a consequence of stillbirth. Stigma spoils social identity and obstructs social participation. Mothers commonly experience isolation, exclusion, and abandonment, and are prone to feelings of guilt and shame. Family are the most frequently cited source of support. However, extended family may have unrealistic, unhelpful expectations of recovery after stillbirth. The effect of stillbirth may have long-term effects on relationships and intimacy. The effect of stillbirth extends beyond tertiary units to families and society. Just a few of the expenses facing parents are outlined, one of the most devastating being that household goods and items which have been purchased for the new arrival are now meaningless. Stillbirth has an economic effect on society at large, one being the cost to the public health system, and another being that the baby never reaches adulthood to become an economic contributor to society. Tied into economic factors are political influences. These include health budget costs, understaffing, under-resourcing, hospitals overcapacity, and the reality that midwives may need to prioritise high-risk women with a live baby over a woman who's had a stillbirth. Furthermore, these political factors may prevent the delivery of the partnership model despite the midwife's best intentions. She may be pulled away from delivering the continuity of care she desires, and this may mean that parents with a baby who died in utero may feel that their care is not appropriately prioritised by staff. Managing a stillbirth requires midwifery practice wisdom. Midwives may feel a sense of honour and privilege at being able to support parents experiencing the death of their baby. However, midwives may also be seen as experiencing grief which isn't seen as belonging to them. The midwife may find it difficult to manage her own personal reactions while at the same time perform a professional role. Midwives are encouraged to nurture and support resiliencies by acknowledging and accepting their own emotions and working through them. New insights for practice. Every bereaved parent is entitled to good care. Slowing down and taking time is what these families need most. At present, there is a lack of comprehensive programs and courses to support and guide staff and there is an urgent need for research to improve care and experiences for bereaved parents. Unfortunately, political factors make the complexity of stillbirth more complex and may result in women and whānau receiving substandard care. It must be acknowledged that current literature criticises undergraduate academic programs for their failure to provide midwifery students with the appropriate skills in managing stillbirth. I unfortunately can validate this. From personal experience, I was thrown into an unexpected stillbirth during my first year. I was alone with the mother and baby for a long time. I helped her to ring her husband and tell him the devastating news. The midwife and I then took the baby away to make memories. Leaving the mother alone, it felt very wrong. I felt helpless to advocate for her, that she should not have been left alone and we should be making the memories together. I only wish I knew what I now know. Her experience would have been different. Additionally, it has been acknowledged that students are often protected from caring for those who have had a stillbirth, as they are students. However, protection of this kind will simply result in registered midwives who feel unprepared and inadequate while caring for those experiencing stillbirth. To finish, as Dr. Seuss wrote, "Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not."